Yesterday we did long division. Today we're going to do synthetic division. Synthetic meaning kind of like fake division because we're not really dividing, but we get the same result as if we were dividing. We have, but it is a shortcut, and it only works when dividing by a binomial with a coefficient of 1. Okay, so that means so this is a binomial with a coefficient of 1, right? That's the only thing that works right there. And so if this was x squared plus x plus 4, that wouldn't work. Or if this was 3x plus 4, that wouldn't work. So it's got to be, this has to be 1, and it can only be a binomial. It's the only way it works, right? So hopefully this will start to look familiar as we go through this. When we were dividing with long division, we used exactly what we saw. Here, even though I have this factor of x plus 4, when I solve that, that means that x equals negative 4. I use the actual value. I don't use so it wouldn't be positive, it would be negative. So I'm going to put him on the outside, okay? Then we kind of have like an upside down division house. And inside of here, we put only the coefficients of what we're dividing into. So my coefficients here are 1, negative 1, negative 27, and negative 28. And then under the last one, we put a little box here. That's where our remainder goes. Okay. Then this is the process of how to use these numbers. Whatever this first one is, you just bring it straight down, and it's 1 right there. Then we multiply. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, and it goes right there. Then we combine these two to get a negative 5. There's no changing of signs like there was for long division. Then I do the same thing again. Negative 4 times negative 5 is a positive 20. I combine these two to get a negative 7. Negative 4 times negative 7 is a positive 28. I combine those two to get 0. So my remainder is 0. Then what you have left down here are the coefficients of the polynomial that is your answer. And you decide what your highest exponent is based on how many terms there are. It's always one less. So there are 3 terms. So I subtract 1 to get 2. That means that this 1 goes in front of an x squared. So I get x squared. Then I would have minus 5x, then minus 7. Does that make sense? See how to do that? How, explain the whole thing or just how I got this? Okay, because these are just like we put, these were the coefficients from this, right? These are the coefficients of my answer. So however many numbers this is, that's how many terms I have. So my highest exponent is 1 less than whatever that is. So there's 3 of them, so this has to be an x squared. If there was 4 of them, this would be x cubed. Okay. Anything else? All right, let's look at number 15 and see what happens when we don't get a 0 remainder. So again, this is x minus 3. That means I use x equals 3. So on the outside, I've got a 3. Make my little box here. I write in these coefficients. I've got 4, negative 16, 20, negative 16, like so. Whatever this first number is, it comes straight down, so that's a 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. I put that right here. Add those two together to get negative 4. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Add those two together to get 8. 3 times 8 is 24. Combine those two and I get a positive 8. Yes, sir.
So like yesterday, you know how you said whenever you multiply, say in the beginning where you got drop down the 4 and then multiply it by 3 and then got 12, you keep the Like how yesterday you said to change the sign.
Yes, we're not changing the signs here. You only do that on the other one because when you're doing that division, you're subtracting. Here, whatever it is, and you add those two together. Okay, very good question. Okay. So this is what we ended up with, so we got to convert this to our answer. This is my remainder, so I'm going to leave it alone for a second. I've got 3 numbers down here, which means it's going to have to be an x squared function. So this is 4x squared minus 4x plus, oh, that's a 48, my goodness, minus 4x plus 8, and then this is my remainder. So I always add my remainder. The numerator is going to be whatever's in here. The denominator is not 3. The denominator is this right here, that x minus 3, whatever I was actually dividing by. And so this is my answer. What questions do you have? Does it look familiar? Hopefully, yeah. No? All right, let's see what happens when we have missing powers. Because remember yesterday we had missing powers, we had to fill them in, and that's something that gets forgotten a lot. So this is x plus 8, so x equals negative 8. So negative 8 goes on the outside. This is a third degree polynomial, which means if it's a third degree, I have 4 terms I have to use. There's only 3 there. Notice I have x cubed, and then it goes to x. I'm missing the x squared term in there. I have to put a placeholder in here. So my coefficients are 1, 0 for the x squared, then negative 49, then 120, and I go from there. Okay, so I'm going to bring down my 1. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Add those together, get negative 8. You go on, see if you can finish that one up. Okay, so do we all agree with what I have so far? And then there's 3 terms. This would be x squared minus 8x plus 15. Okay. Everybody good? What questions you got? Okay, then let's look at 17. Do I have any missing terms in 17? Yes, because it's a 4th degree, so there are 5 terms that I should have. There's only 3. So what goes on the outside here? 9. So then I start with the 1 that goes with the 4, and then negative 9, a 0 for the x squared, a 0 for the x, and then a negative 1. You go ahead and do that one. It's kind of a weird one, right? But weird doesn't mean that it's wrong. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So what's the leading exponent? Cubed. So this, I have x cubed And then I don't have an x squared term, an x term, or a constant term. That's fine. But I have a remainder, so this is going to be plus -1 over what? X minus 9. What questions do you have? We good? Yes? All right. So let's look at how one way we can use this. You can use it to factor a polynomial. So it says, suppose you're given a polynomial function, one of its linear factors. We can completely factor it, even if it's not, factorable from the beginning. So if I have this function right here, the way I would try to factor that would be by grouping. If I try factor by grouping right there, it's not going to work. The things aren't going to match up. But if they tell me what one of the linear factors are, it's telling me it's x minus 4 is one of them. Okay, so if you know what one of the factors are, when you divide it into it, your remainder should be 0 because it should divide evenly if it's actually one of the factors. All right, so we're going to use synthetic division. We are going to reduce it down and then continue to factor it. So here's what I mean by that. We're going to start off doing the exact same thing we've been doing. 4 goes on the outside. On the inside, I would put 1, -5, 2, and 8. And I expect to get a 0 remainder because it's telling me it's a factor. If I don't, then I did something wrong. So I bring down my 1. 4 times 1 is 4. That gives me a -1 here. 4 times -1 is -4. Gives me a -2 here. 4 times -2 is -8. Gives me a 0. So the result of what I get from this is x squared minus x minus 2. So let's think about what that means. What that tells me is I started with this. If I divide it by this and have this left over, that means that x minus 4 times x squared minus x minus 2 would have to equal my original. Okay, do you understand why? It's like if I say I can take 6 and divide it by 2, so I get 3, so that means that 2 times 3 is 6. It's the same idea. So now that I'm here, I have something else that I actually can factor. So I continue on to completely factor this. I have my x minus 4 here. Then a is 1 here, so I can jump to 2 parentheses. I get x and x. The signs are opposite. What are my numbers? -2 and 1. Very good. Okay. So this is completely factored. Then it says to determine the zeros. So my zeros are, see, my smallest one would be -1, and then 2, and then 4. What questions do you have? We good? All right. So this says, so my directions on these, it says, given the polynomial and one of its factors, we're going to use long division or synthetic division. Basically, we're going to use synthetic division if we can. If we can't, then we'll use long division. So we're going to start with number 19. In number 19, can I use synthetic division? Yes, because a is 1, it's a binomial, I'm good. X equals -3, right? So I have -3 out here. And then I have 2, first of all, this is cubic, there's 4 terms, I'm good, I don't have anything missing. -3, -32, -15. Okay, and again, I expect that my remainder should be 0. So I bring down my 2. This gives me -6. So then I get -9. 3 times 9 is 27. Oh, I put a 5. My goodness, 27. Then I get a -5. 3 times 5 is 15. My remainder is 0. So what that tells me is I started here But now I know that f of x is also equal to x plus 3 times 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. Okay, we all good? Does everybody understand how I'm getting that from what I did? Yes. So I took this, divided it by this, right? So that's like saying I'm going to take 6 and divide it by 2, right? And that equals 3. This is my 3, all right? Because this is what it equals when I divide it. Then this is saying 2 times 3 is going to equal 6. Does that help? Okay. So now I need to continue factoring. So I'm going to I need to factor this. I'll come over here and factor this by grouping. So I've got 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. So to factor that by grouping, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 10, combine to give me negative 9. It'd be a 1 and a negative 10. So 2x squared plus x minus 10x minus 5. Right? Then I'm going to group and group. So I get x times 2x plus 1, and then a negative 5 times 2x plus 1. So that leaves me with x minus 5 and 2x plus 1. And that's what I'm going to put in place of this right here. So f of x is equal to x plus 3 times x minus 5 times 2x plus 1. So this is my fully factored form, right? And then my zeros would be x equals, my smallest one would be negative 3, then negative 1/2, then 5. Okay. What questions do you have? All right, let's look at number 20. Can I use synthetic division on number 20? No, because I have the 2 in front of the x. So instead, I'm going to do long division. So we're going to do long division just like we did yesterday. So on the outside goes my 2x plus 5. On the inside goes 6. Okay, first of all, I've got it's a cubed. I got 4 terms. I'm good. So 6x cubed plus x squared minus 27x plus 20. All right, we'll just go ahead and do this together. So 2x divides into 6x cubed. That's going to give me 3x squared. So then I multiply it back, and I'm going to get 6x cubed plus 15x squared. And then since this is long division, I change the signs because I'm subtracting. These zero out. This gives me negative 14x squared minus 27x. Then I divide 2x into negative 14x squared. That's going to be negative 7x. So negative 14x squared minus 35x. Change my signs. Those zero out. 8x plus 20. 2x goes into 8x 4 times. That gives me 8x plus 20. So when I subtract, my remainder is 0, which I totally expect because it is a factor. But I'm not done. So at this point, I have f of x equals 2x plus 5 times 3x squared minus 7x plus 4. So then I'm going to factor this. I'm just going to tell you what it is so we can get through the division stuff. This would be 3x minus 4 and x minus 1 when you factor. So this is my fully factored form. And I would have my zeros. My smallest one would be -5/2, then 1, then 4/3. All right. What questions you got? We good? Yep. All right, we're going to do the last one together too because something else a little bit different happens here. All right, so can I use synthetic division on this one? Yes, so then I think that's what I want to do. So on the outside goes a 1. On the inside, this is a 4th degree and there's 5 terms, so I'm good. So I got 2, 1, -11, -4, and 12. Okay. Then I'm going to bring down my 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Gives me 3 here. 1 times 3 is 3. Gives me a -8. 1 times -8 is -8. Gives me a -12. 1 times -12 is -12. And I get a 0 like I would expect. So now f of x equals this factor that I just divided by times what I have left here. There are 4 of these, which means it's x cubed in here. So this would give me 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 8x minus 12. So then I need to factor this. I've got 4 terms, so I have to factor it by grouping. So f of x is equal to x minus 1. And then I'm going to use brackets because there's too many parentheses here. I can factor out an x squared, and that leaves me with 2x plus 3. Then here I can factor out a -4. That leaves me with 2x plus 3. So when I finish that factoring, I would have x minus 1 times x squared minus 4 times 2x plus 3. Can I factor that some more? Yes, because I have a difference of squares right here, right? So one more time. F of x equals x minus 1 times x plus 2 times x minus 2 times 2x plus 3. Now that thing is completely factored. Then I need to get my zeros. So x equals, let's see. So I have this 2 and a -2. So I can say plus or minus 2, and then -3/2, and then 1. You don't have to do plus or minus. You could write them both out. It doesn't matter either way. Okay. What questions do you have? We're good? You can do synthetic division? Awesome.